Yeah, welcome to my quick start guide for new players getting into Project Zomboid. So this is for players who want to progress to the full difficulty level. And there's a way to do that while making the start of the game a little bit more new player friendly. Apocalypse is what I would call the classic mode. A lot of people start Builder, and there's nothing wrong with that to get used to the controls. But if you're wanting to progress, I'm going to give you another suggestion. Now, mods. These are two mods which I would recommend new players put on. It's optional. Craft Helper, which just means you can right click and bring up a menu for recipes that item is used for in the game. There's a lot of items, it can be quite confusing, so that could be pretty helpful. And the Knox County map gives you a lootable map of the whole place and how the towns interconnect, which is also useful, but optional. They don't affect the gameplay really in any way. So we want to choose Custom Sandbox, Starting Locations. Riverside and Rosewood are the easiest starts. I like Riverside for new players because there's more resources there. There's a hardware store. There's lots of good locations for books. They're about the same as far as difficulty is concerned though. Muldraw is the next one, and West Point's probably the one to leave for a little bit till you're a bit more comfortable in the game. Now the custom sandbox here is where we want to do the tweaking. So make sure that you're on Apocalypse. We want to leave the population here. Everything else we're just going to leave the same down here. We're going to leave all this on. We'll leave the helicopter event on. We're going to go to character. The first thing we're going to put on is weapon multi-hit. That's going to make fighting small groups of 3-4 zombies more manageable. You can also, as an option here, you could put up the XP multiplier. I wouldn't go more than 2, but personal choice, but this is my recommendations. Now we're on proper zombies, so they're full strength. I think that's quite important. I mean, there's things you can... This is not meant to be a comprehensive tutorial in these settings, it's just my guide, so I would just leave that for the moment. Advanced zombie options is where we're going to make the start a little easier. We're going to do that by changing the start multiplier. And my recommendation is for new players to put it down to 0.5 to begin with. And we're going to leave the rest the same. There's a lot in here you can change. So this just means that at the very start of the game, we're going to have half the population of normal, but this is the important thing. It's going to actually increase up till day 28, and it will get back to the full population if you survive that long. So this gives you an easy start for the first few days and allows you to settle into a play without big groups of zombies around to begin with, but the better you do, the harder the game is going to get. You could turn off respawns from here, but again, I'm not going to go into this in detail. And you know, once you get comfortable with a 0.5 population, you know, maybe you want to come in and put it up to 0.7 and work up incrementally till you get back to the full population. Again, this is not meant to be a comprehensive occupation and trait guide. This is just my recommendations for a starting point for new players. So I'm going to do 2 builds that I think are a good starting point. Here's my first build. This is based on a construction worker, which gives us carpentry and short blunt. Really nice because we get 3 short blunt with that. More important than the levels, I think, are the XP gain boosts. So traits. These are my go-to negative traits. They're fairly easy to deal with, and it gives you points to spend on really useful positives. High thirst. There's plenty water around, and even when the water cuts off, it's not that difficult to deal with. Slow healer. This might seem like it might be quite debilitating, but it's really not that bad. And it's a 6-pointer. That's 6 points allows you to take a benefit which more than outweighs any inconvenience from that. If you get injured, just take it easy for a bit. Prone to illness, faster rate of zombification. Well, that doesn't really matter. In fact, that's a benefit really. And if you don't get yourself in a position where you're going to get diseases, then this is almost a free 4 points. Smoker. I hummed and hawed about this one a little bit, but I think it's worth taking, even for a beginner. You'll probably find cigarettes and matches or a lighter early in the game. Check sheds and garages and anywhere where you'll find tools. That tends to be where you'll find cigarettes, occasionally on zombies and occasionally in cars. But, you know, you've got probably 3 days before the negatives from that become a little bit more serious. And it's just unhappiness, so, you know, it's not the end of the world. And weak stomach, just don't eat any dodgy food or bad water, and that will not give you any problems. So my positives. Cat's eyes is useful if you get caught out at night. But the main ones here are Outdoorsman, Brave, Brawler and Stout. These are the 4 core skills which I think are good value and will really increase your survival rates. Outdoorsman, not affected by harsh weather conditions. If you're out in the rain for too long without this, you'll get wet and eventually catch a cold. Now, we absolutely don't want to catch a cold because of prone to illness and slow healer. That's why you really want Outdoorsman if you're going to take slow healer and prone to illness. And look, it's 2 points, and that essentially gives us 10 points to spend and 2 points to offset. Brave, it's not good being panicked all the time, it reduces your accuracy. Brave will blunt that somewhat and make it a lot more manageable. You still can panic, it just won't be anywhere near as bad. Brawler gives us +1 axe and +1 long blunt, so paired with our construction worker, which gives us +3 short blunt, we've now got skills in axe, long blunt and short blunt. Long blunt and short blunt especially, they're the weapons you'll be using a lot of. And we've got nice starting skills and good XP gains on all those classes. And when you find an axe, you can fight with that as well and level that up quickly. And Stout, really, really useful. Extra knockback from melee weapons, increased carrying weight. Again, that's kind of a go-to for me. We've got 1 point to spend here. I mean, you could take Speed Demon. I don't advise it. Cars are quite difficult to control, and that could actually end up killing you. If anything, I would probably advise taking Sunday Driver to get 2 points to spend. You know, on maybe Wakeful or Dexterous or something. And here's my second build. This is based on a burglar. This allows you to hotwire cars, so if you really want to get into using vehicles, this means you don't have to find the key. It's also a much more of a stealth-based build than the last one. You start with 2 Lightfoot, 2 Nimble, 2 Sneaking, and of course, more importantly, the bonuses, or as importantly, the bonuses to XP gains. As you can see, our negatives pretty much haven't changed, but the burglar occupation, you require more points to offset it. So what I did was I took out Cat's Eyes as the positive trait and added Sunday Driver. That's not that big a deal. You can still get around fine, it's not really a big problem. So this is more of a stealth-based build. You've still got long blunt weapon skill and axe, but we don't have that short blunt bonus. So essentially we've swapped out the short blunt bonus for stealth. And you'll find quite a big difference with that, especially as you progress through the game. There are a huge amount of options, and really the fun of Project Zomboid is to muck around with these traits. So that's my 2 builds that I think are pretty good starting points for new players. So that's my quick start guide to settings, occupations and traits. Any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to help you. Thanks for watching.